Don't need the everlasting trade expansion. Don't need no greed, stealing breath. No frontier war on invasion. No persecution to a hero's death. Don't need reactionary politician. Don't need no gunfight catastrophe. Don't need no hating over vaccinating. Don't need no jihad on a UAP. We've got to put our hearts together. You gotta sing it with us too. Set up a rhythm in combination. We've got to put our hearts together. That's it, that's it. We got a rhythm that can change creation. Supremacy of pink people. No such thing as race, just skin. Takes a color to make a rainbow. Takes every part to make a working brain. The whole history brought us together. Gotta see now, all humans love the same. Don't need a freak like Peter Dutton, huh? So full of shit and causing so much pain. We've got to put our hearts together. Set up a rhythm in combination. And if we put our hearts together, yo and my brother, we get a rhythm that can change creation. Can we hear you? Set up a rhythm in combination. Sing together, hey. We got to put our hearts together. We got a rhythm that can change creation. Yo, 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 hey. We got to put our hearts together. Set up a rhythm in combination. And if we put our hearts together, we get a rhythm that can change creation. Last chance, folks, sing it up now. We got to put our hearts together. Yeah. Set up a rhythm in combination. And if we put our hearts together, we get a rhythm that can change creation. Thank you for your percussion, Julius. We're from the band Soulfish. Keep those hearts together, folks. Thank you.
Let's try that. That was amazing. Give them another round of applause. 40 years of experience, and isn't it wonderful to hear from you? And the band that we're playing, is that a bit high? Playing while we walk around. Is that a bit high? Okay. What we've got now is unity. We have 3 strong, successful women. Can you hear me out there?
Yeah, I can hear.
And they've come together in unity, addressing and supporting the issues on fairness, justice, the right thing to do at this 45th referendum. First People's Voice to Parliament. Can I introduce Janelle Saffron, local MP here in Lismore, and also Tamara Smith, the Greens MP for Ballina. Would you ladies like to come up, please? have the candidate for independent in Page, Hannah Beth Luke. So give her 3 beautiful women. And 2. Okay, give them a round of applause in unity. Gently, if you can move your way through the crowd, put a leaf in the fire, get smoke. Oh, smoky. It's smoky. Yes. Okay.
Look, this referendum gives us a chance to do better. It gives us a chance to lift ourselves up, our communities, our nation. It's one of those, hi Uncle Mickey, it's one of those opportunities that we've been given, and we've been given it by the First Nations people. They've given us this opportunity to say we need change, but change for the better. And I want to say that I've been in federal parliament and I know what this will mean. I've seen who gets access in federal parliament. I've seen whose voices are heard in federal parliament. I've spent years there, and can I tell you, it is not the First Nations people who are front and centre of any of the legislation or the decisions that happen there. I could rattle off everyone who gets access, you can guess, I'm sure. It's certainly not the First Nations people. I'll just give one example. Many years ago when I was there was an issue nothing to do with here but everything to do with here. It was gas, it was Broome. And First Nations people wanted access. They couldn't get access. Through my friend Di Morrissey, who'd written a book to do with Broome years ago, she reached out to me, introduced me to certain people, Ian Patricia actually, an old friend of mine from New South Wales but lives in Broome, Indigenous man. And I brought them into the parliament, into my room. There's always a breakout room at the end of the corridor. They were there for a week. The Pigram brothers came, I had great music, entertainment, got wonderful CDs, and I got them access. But that relied on one individual, and there are other individuals in the parliament who do things like that. This voting yes to say we recognise First Nations people as First Nations people, and that means they will have a voice to the parliament where the laws of this land are made. It will give them their own access. They won't have to rely on an individual MP or a friend. That's why I'm voting yes. All right. And my grandson Gabriel said, don't forget about him. He's voting yes too. Thank you. I think we can do this. I'm sure we can.
Thank you, and thanks so much for Yes 23. Can you hear me? Inviting me today. I'd like to acknowledge the Widjabul people and Jenny for her welcome to country, and pay my respects to elders, all elders, and also to the uncles for the smoking ceremony. Thank you to Charlene Emson Boyd. I've known her for a long time, but what she's done as our local Yes 23 campaigner is extraordinary, and thank you, Charlene, for all that you've done to keep raising the issue in the lead up to the referendum. I also want to acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, Sue Higginson, who's also our Indigenous First Nations and Justice spokesperson, and thank her for letting me speak today. And also, we speak as one on this issue, and also, of course, the member for Lismore for welcoming us here today, and Hannah Beth Luke and Gabrielle. I know, and also Chris and Marcel, I haven't seen them perform for years. It's just so wonderful that they're here. We've got the Black Academics, and I'd be remiss not to mention Kerry O'Brien, because his book with Thomas Mayo, like, that is such a huge effort. Thank you for that.
I'm choosing to vote yes in this referendum. Right. Because many of my friends, neighbours and colleagues have worked in amazing projects across the nation with Aboriginal communities. They've worked with Indigenous-led programs. They've seen their success. They've seen them working. They've documented their success. They've written up very glossy brochures demonstrating their success to Parliament. only to witness the heartbreaking dismantling of those programs. And now we have the regulatory bodies in our government. We've seen many regulatory bodies that have been put up, dismantled time and time again. I see them like a chair in government it's one of those old plastic ones with metal legs. Our First Nations people are invited to come and sit down and have a listen. One of the more recent bodies was Tony Abbott, the envoy for our First Nations peoples. That was who previous government viewed as the choice, as a voice for our First Nations peoples. And that government has now, that group has now chosen to, has now chosen to make this a political thing, and it does not have to be. Look, I'm an Evans Head girl now, and Auntie Simone tells me it's time for our First Nations to be recognised in our Constitution. It's, in Auntie Simone's words, it's a leg in the door. It's a concrete chair in that Parliament that cannot be tucked away quietly. I'm writing yes because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.